Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ron Placone and Steph Zamorano. Hi.
I'm miserable.
Hello.
So we were away for the weekend and we haven't covered this story that everyone else has already covered, but here we go. Mueller indicts 12 Russians, which is funny to indict 12 Russians. Why don't you indict 12 more people who will never see the inside of a courtroom? It's just... Mueller indicts 12 Russians for DNC hacking as Trump-Putin summit looms. And this is what it says. This is from Politico. It says, Rosenstein said the Russians stole and released Democratic documents after planting malicious computer codes in the network of the Democratic National Committee, as well as the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Now, here's the problem with that. The last I heard, and I haven't heard anything counter to this, the DNC never allowed the FBI nor the Department of Homeland Security to inspect their servers. Have you heard anything contrary to that, Steph?
No.
How about you, Ron? Have you heard anything contrary to that? I've been looking. If they have finally looked at their server, please send me a link to that story because I can't find anything that says they have. So I don't know how you could have any confidence in anything that these people are saying when the information we have is they've never inspected their servers. And the company they had a private company, the DNC hired a private company called CrowdStrike, which is a very shady company to do this. So this is not how you do an investigation. So it's all shady right off the bat. And this is not defending Trump. This is, again, we should be talking about how to get people livable wages, how to get 30 million Americans who don't have health care, how to get clean water in Flint, how to break up the banks, how to end the wars. Instead, we're talking about this because the system and the establishment doesn't want you to talk about the system and the establishment that gave us Donald Trump. Remember, the reason why we have Donald Trump is because Hillary Clinton cheated Bernie Sanders, the guy who could beat him, in favor of someone who couldn't, the only person in the country who couldn't. And then they get all their minions in the press to prop up Donald Trump. That's called the Pied Piper strategy. Those are the people who are responsible. Right? Russia had much less to do. We have audio tape of Les Moonves, the head of CBS, saying Trump's bad for America, but he's great for CBS profits. And they're all laughing about it. So again, this is all, to me, this is all distraction from the real things we're supposed to be talking about that the establishment and the system don't want you talking about. But let's get back to this. So again, right off the bat, weren't allowed to. So that's my first, again, and you have to be skeptical of the intelligence community. If you're not skeptical of the intelligence community, then you're a dupe and a pawn. Because they're liars, and what they did with Iraq, they do all the time. They're torturers, war criminals. That's who the CIA is. Okay. So this is from CNBC. CNBC says the indictment lodged by a federal grand jury in Washington, D.C. accuses the Russian spies of hacking into the Democratic National Committee and the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton and of releasing emails obtained from that cyber snooping with a goal of influencing the election. Now, let's say that that's true. Let's just say that's true. That's what intelligence agencies do. That's what we do. That's why we had a tap on Angela Merkel's phone. That's why we decide about regime change. That's why So this is what superpowers do. That's a matter of... This isn't, if that is true, which they did do, this is what.
Well, and maybe,
by the way, go ahead, Ron.
Well, I was just going to add, and maybe if they weren't trying to actively cheat a candidate, the content in them wouldn't have been so outrageous.
Right. So again, we have to remember what they're accused of doing is revealing the truth about what was really going on. And as Ron just pointed out, that they were cheating the progressive in that campaign. That was one of the big things. So, by the way, Rosenstein added that the indictment does not allege that any U.S. citizen committed a crime, nor that the conspiracy changed the vote count or affected any election result. That's immediately...
Buried a few paragraphs down.
Again. Hey, is Russia trying to hack things in America? Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Oh, do you think the U.S. is trying to hack any other country?
I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Of course, that's... So, let's just finish this real quick. So there you go. The Russians, well, this is new. This is new in the indictment. The Russians also illegally downloaded data related to some 500,000 voters from a state database. He charged. Now, I haven't seen any evidence that happened. Have you, Ron?
No.
Have you, Steph?
No.
So that's in an indictment. I mean, I don't know what the evidence is for that. If that happened, that they downloaded data related to 500,000 voters from a state database, and then what did they do with that data?
They looked at it and maybe made paper airplanes, and maybe it influenced a meme or two.
While many of the indictment's details confirmed previous news reports and other assessments, it dramatically shifts the context for Trump's upcoming meeting with Putin, whom U.S. intelligence services have concluded was behind the 2016 election interference. While many of the indictment's details, this was before Trump had his Putin meeting in Helsinki, this report from Politico came out, it dramatically shifts the context for Trump's upcoming meeting with Putin. So when I read that, and when I heard about this indictment on the eve of Trump's meeting in Helsinki with Putin, I immediately thought of this. When Chuck Schumer went on Rachel Maddow last year and said this.
On the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shot, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposed...
That's Chuck Schumer, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, saying that the president should be afraid of the intelligence community, of the people who work of CIA, the FBI. He should be afraid of them, the NSA, because they have 6 ways to Sunday to get back at you. And that's when I was like, well, why would he drop this? By the way, this indictment is of people in the Russian military, people who are never going to see the inside of a courtroom, so we'll never be able to prove these charges or disprove these charges. Kind of interesting, huh? That they would do it on the eve of Trump's Helsinki meeting. And I thought about what he said. They have 6 ways to Sunday to mess with you. Sounds like this is sabotaging Trump's meeting with Putin. And it did. Does anyone else remember him saying that? Does anybody else remember that should be a super huge deal and it's not? And this is not defending Trump, goddammit. This is the establishment distracting you once again. And by the way, and this indictment, it's just, I'm so fucking sick of this. Hillary Clinton lost the campaign because she didn't go to Wisconsin. She didn't go to Michigan because Hillary Clinton is repulsive to people. And when she campaigns, her numbers go down. Hillary Clinton has never, in the history of Hillary Clinton, been able to take poll numbers and make them go up. When she campaigns, they go down. That's why she lost. I thought it was Bernie Sanders. I thought it was sexism. I thought it was Bernie Bros. I thought it was Susan Sarandon. I thought it was me. I thought it was the Pope. But no, it's Russia. Russia overcame a $2 million behemoth. $2 billion campaign. Let's remember how kind of ridiculous this all is.
It had some impact.
But it does beg the question, how is it that these Russian operatives knew to focus on purple states like Michigan and Wisconsin, and your campaign didn't?
So again, and there's nothing in these indictments that have anything to do with collusion with, remember, that was the big thing. It was collusion with Trump. It was Trump and Russia and WikiLeaks all working together. There's nothing in this indictment that says anything about that. And in fact, I'll show it to you again. Here's what Rosenstein says. This indictment does not allege that any U.S. citizen committed a crime, nor that the conspiracy changed the vote count or affected any election result. Well, let's spend every waking second of the day then pretending like this is Pearl. Oh, by the way, they're saying this is an act of war. It's Pearl Harbor. This is normal shit. And I'm going to have Bill Binney on later, and I'm going to ask him that if this is normal stuff, because this is normal stuff.
Jimmy, remember a simpler time when it was only the right that used these excessive nationalistic arguments of you're a traitor, you're treasonous, you're a traitor to the country. Remember when only the right did that?
Yes, I do remember that. Do you remember this, Ron?
This is to Russia. This is, without question, our number one geopolitical foe.
After all, you don't call Russia our number one enemy unless you're still stuck in a Cold War mind warp.
Governor Romney is mired in a Cold War mindset. He acts like he thinks the Cold War's still on.
He's even blurted out the preposterous notion that Russia is our number one geopolitical foe.
It's somewhat dated to be looking backwards.
The statements that Governor Romney makes show little understanding of what is actually going on in the 21st century.
It's a really curious statement given that the Cold War has been over for some time.
A throwback to the Cold War. I mean, we work with Russia all the time.
He's not a dumb man, but he said something that was clearly dumb.
Is an antiquated worldview.
Is he trying to play Ronald Reagan here or what? What's he up to?
The 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
One of my favorite tweets. If you don't remember thinking much about Russia prior to 2016 and now you think about it a lot more, that's your first clue that you've been propagandized. It's the same country it was in 2015. The threat it poses hasn't changed. Only the narrative has.
Oh, and our military budget.
The same goddamn country it was. And if you really want something, I'm going to do a video about this because this is a very interesting story. If you want to know who really influences our country's elections and our country's policies, leaked Netanyahu tape, we made Trump nix the Iran deal. That's not going to, no one's talking about that. No one will talk about that. No one will talk about the 9 businesses that Trump opened up in Saudi Arabia during the campaign. No one will talk about that. No one will talk about this. No one will talk about the fact that General Flynn, who got indicted for lying about talking with Russians, he was talking with Russians at the behest of Benjamin Netanyahu. He was doing the bidding of the frickin' Israel. Nope, that's not. Again, this is overwhelming to me. I can't even watch the news, or it's hard for me to watch the news or read the news or even talk to people. This is what it must have felt like when Edward R. Murrow would end every show saying good night and good luck during the McCarthyism Red Scare. And this is the establishment, and this is working so well because the elite in the Republican Party also hate Donald Trump. So you have guys like warmongers like Bill Kristol and Max Boot and Kissinger and all those cretins going along with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Rachel Maddow. So that's why this is working perfectly. And now there's pushback from the GOP. They're starting to do their own McCarthyism. Here it comes. This is the real McCarthyism, though, because they're calling people communists. What the Democrats and the left and the establishment's doing right now, they're just saying they're bad because they're Russia because of Putin. They're not saying communists because guess what? They're not communists. Anyway, this is from The Hill. GOP lawmaker accuses ex-CIA chief of being a communist after he calls Trump-Putin meeting treasonous. And this is, I love this tweet. In a show of bipartisanship, the GOP is now using the neo-McCarthyite attack that liberals have been utilizing for almost 2 years. So now it's going to. I can't believe they've been waiting this long to do this. This is what the right wing used to do to Democrats all the time, and lefties, accuse them of being communists, accusing them of undermining our way of life, accusing them not being capitalists, accusing them of wanting to infiltrate, all that stuff. And there's one more thing. Michael Tracy tweeted out, it's not surprising that Putin would express a preference. So Putin expressed in 2012 that he was in favor of Obama becoming president. He expressed a preference for Obama over Romney, but nobody noticed because there wasn't a national mania at the time. Here it is. This is from Foreign Policy. This is from foreignpolicy.com. Vladimir Putin was the only foreign leader mentioned by name in Romney's convention speech, so it makes sense that he takes the U.S. race a bit personally, meaning Putin. The Russian president suggested in an interview with the satellite network RT that Obama would probably be easier to work with than the candidate who has described his country as America's #1 geopolitical foe. Is it possible to find a solution to the problem if current President Obama is reelected for a second term? Theoretically, yes, Putin said. He continued, my feeling is that he is a very honest man and that he sincerely wants to make many good changes. But can he do it? Will they let him do it? That's Putin saying he'd rather have Obama be president. Where's all the gay memes between Obama having sex with Putin? How come they didn't do that? Because Hillary Clinton hadn't yet lost to a game show host. That's why. And we were still working with the Russians. By the way, are there still McDonald's in Russia? Are there still KFC in Russia? Are they still doing business in Russia? Are there still hotels? Are there still Hyatts and stuff? And idiots. So here we are. I'll throw it over to our panel. And any comments on that? I mean, how come I've never seen this on anywhere except Michael Tracy's feed?
Nobody contracted those memes from us. We had all the paint ready. No, I was off the grid when all this went on, like Monday, Tuesday, and what little I saw on social media, I kind of thought to myself, I could not have picked a better day this year to have been off the grid and just keep it away for a day.
This is depressing. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. And they'll just never have to own up to that we have Trump because our system failed us. And 30 million Americans still don't have health care. Half the country's poor or low income. 63% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency. Those are the problems America has. Hey, please make sure you subscribed. Even if you think you are, you probably aren't. It only takes a second to check. And then click that bell to make sure you get a notice every time we drop a video. They won't tell you every time anyway, but it's the only thing we can do to fight back against the bastards. So please make sure you're subscribed and click that bell. And our next live show is July 15th in Chicago. And after that, July 27th in Burbank, California. Special guest on that show, Abby Martin. And if you could become a patron, that would be fantastic. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Thanks for your support.